There's a lot to look forward to in 2022. More of this.
And here goes Mathieu van der Poel.
More of this.
Colbrelli through the centre. Viva Italia! Davy Vollering takes it.
And hopefully, more of this too. It's January, and that means we are just moments away from the start of the road season. It may have only been 3 months since the last one finished, but it already feels like a lifetime ago. Will Cavendish break the Merckx record?
Oh, it's Wout van Aert that makes the steal! Mark Cavendish, and he will have to settle for being level with Eddy Merckx.
Will he even go to the Tour de France? Can Thibaut Pinot get back to his best? Can anyone beat Lorena Wiebes in a sprint? Will Mathieu van der Poel get over his back injury? And who will reign supreme with Pog versus Roglic versus Bernal at the Tour de France? Almost all of those questions will be answered through live coverage that you can get on GCN Plus in 2021. We have so much racing for you this year, and with over 500 races live in total, all the Grand Tours, all the Classics, and the brand new Tour de France Femmes. So if you haven't already signed up, what are you waiting for? We'll put a link on screen right now that will take you through to the sign up page, and there'll be another link in the description which will take you through to our calendar of events from which you can find your own country to see what is available where you are. So, what are we most looking forward to? Well, first up, Pog versus Roglic versus Bernal. All three have stated that their aim is to win the Tour de France this year, and the prospect of all three lining up in their best form is a tantalising prospect. For Pogačar, it's a chance to win a third Tour de France in succession, a feat that has only ever been previously accomplished by one other rider, Eddy Merckx. If Pogačar is successful, and based on the last couple of years, why wouldn't he be? He'd have accomplished that feat at an age 2 years younger than Merckx when he did the same thing. For Roglic, this isn't the last chance saloon, but if he fails to bring home the yellow jersey this year, there will be a lot of people saying that time is running out for him. There's absolutely no doubt that he possesses all the qualities you need to win.
And now Roglic goes, and everybody else has to follow.
Exceptional at climbing and time trialling with a punchy finish too, but he has come unstuck over the previous 2 editions. For Bernal, it's a big test. He has never won a stage race in which either Pogačar or Roglic have started, but then they haven't gone head to head as many times as you might expect. The only stage races in which Pogačar and Bernal have both started are the 2020 Tour de France and 21 Tirreno Adriatico, both of which were won by Pogačar. For Roglic and Bernal, there are a few more data points. They've lined up at the same stage race 6 times, with 2 of them won by Roglic, none by Bernal. And they may well avoid each other in the early season, but the Tour de France is going to be the moment of truth, with all 3 of them aiming for glory at the Tour this year. Only to all get beaten by Thibaut Pinot. Well, you never know, do you? He is going to be back at the race this year. Tour de France Femmes though. There really isn't any precedent. ASO are putting on an 8-day women's race for the first time this year, and it will come hot on the heels of the men's Tour de France. Despite being a new event, the name alone will automatically give the event a huge amount of prestige. And it's likely to be catapulted straight to the top of the most important races of the year. In the absence of Van der Breggen, recently retired, Annemiek van Vleuten is likely to start as the big favourite. However, it remains to be seen how much that crash at Paris-Roubaix last October will affect her. Demi Vollering, Katja Nurmerdoma, Cécile Uttrup-Ludwig will be the other big names looking to make their mark at the first edition of the Tour de France Femmes this year. Back to the men's race, and the question of whether or not Cavendish can break the record of Eddy Merckx at this year's Tour de France has to be preceded with the question of if he'll get selected to race there in the first place. Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl boss Patrick Lefevere has already suggested publicly that he wants Fabio Jakobsen to be his main sprinter this year, and that he would only take one of them to the Tour de France. It's one of many stories which will unfold in the weeks and months leading up to the biggest race on the planet. But if Cavendish does go, the speculation and anticipation about a 35th stage win will be incredibly intense. As things stand though, it's the Giro d'Italia that will be the Grand Tour Cavendish concentrates on this year, in what would be his first participation there since 2013. And of course, it's the Giro d'Italia that is the first Grand Tour of each season. This year, once again, we will have live coverage of the race in all GCN Plus territories except for New Zealand, and we would love you to join us for all the action.
Egan Bernal is the winner of the 104th Giro d'Italia.
And you don't want to miss it for a whole host of reasons. Tom Dumoulin's break from the sport this time last year has obviously done him the world of good, as not only will he be making his first appearance at a Grand Tour in almost 2 years at the Giro, he'll also aim for the GC. That ambition and his general presence at the race will make it a fascinating watch. Dumoulin is a man you have to crack, and that in itself should mean even more aggressive racing from the others in the mountains. That said, with a distinct lack of time trial at this year's race, you can be sure that Dumoulin will try to go into the race with his best climbing form, something we haven't seen from him for some time. Simon Yates, Carapaz, Lopez, Nibali, Pidcock, Porte, Landa, Almeida and Valverde are amongst the other big starters expected to be on the start line in Hungary this May. Before we even get there though, we have the Spring Classics, and it goes without saying that the prospect of the cobblestones is getting us excited already. They may seem a long way off, but it's fewer than 45 days until Omloop Het Nieuwsblad and fewer than 80 days until the Tour of Flanders. This year, Holy Week will be Holy Fortnight, with Paris-Roubaix forced to swap places with Amstel Gold Race due to the French elections taking place that weekend. So peaking for both, well, it could be tricky. There really is nothing like the cobbled races though. Unpredictable, brutal, grimy, and most importantly, top draw entertainment. Omloop Het Nieuwsblad is on the 26th of February, the Tour of Flanders is on the 3rd of April, Paris-Roubaix on the 16th and 17th of April, and all of the men's and women's races will be live on GCN Plus with pre- and post-race breakaway shows. We'll even try and make sense of everything that happens, just as we do, again with more perspective each week on the world of cycling, featuring special guests throughout the season. And one man who will be racing one of those cobble classics for the very first time is Tadej Pogačar. The winner of Liège and Lombardia last year has decided to broaden his horizons even further to include Milano-San Remo and the Tour of Flanders. A win at the latter, at his first time of trying, might sound far-fetched, but then this is Pogačar we're talking about. A great bike handler with an explosive climbing ability and a willingness to gamble. He might well have that beginner's luck, upset the bookies and take home all the winnings. Whatever the outcome, it's great to see this new generation of super talents willing and motivated to just race. Whatever the country, whatever the terrain, we'll all be keenly watching to see how he gets on.
Pogačar's going to do it. 2 monuments, a Tour de France. Tadej Pogačar on top of the world.
One man who doesn't really need to prove himself at the Cobble Classics is Peter Sagan, and yet there are a huge number of fans looking forward to see if he can get back to his best. Over his career, he's ridden Flanders 10 times, Roubaix 9, winning them in 2016 and 2018 respectively. However, that was the last time he was on the podium of either. So 4 years on in a new team, has he still got what it takes to win?
Sagan's going all the way to line. Sagan is there. Sagan is there. Sagan finishes the job.
There's no doubt about the talent, but up against the fresher legs and head of Van Aert, Van der Poel, Pidcock and all, it'll be interesting to see if Sagan still has the desire to top the podium. And another question that is yet to be answered is whether Van der Poel will even be on the start line. A lingering back injury has now affected both the end of the 2021 road season and the current cyclocross season. Van der Poel has been forced to take a break, and the length of it will determine whether or not he's fit for April. If we look on the positive side though, if he is able to get back on his bike in the next couple of weeks, he's a man that can find form quickly, and that enforced rest might be just what he needed for his head as well as his body. Now, one of the things I know many of you really look forward to at the start of the season in particular is the new tech. So I'm sure you'll want to know where you can see it first. Well, the first pro race in Europe is the Mallorca Challenge from the 26th to the 30th of January. And whilst there is no live coverage provided by the organisers, there will be long form highlights that we'll do our utmost to get up on GCN Plus on the evening of each stage. UAE, Team Emirates, Movistar, Bike Exchange, AG2R, Bora Hansgrohe, Lotto Soudal, Israel Premier Tech and Cofidis are the World Tour teams taking part. However, the first big appointment of the year looks to be the Vuelta Valencia. With the cancellation of Vuelta a San Juan, many top stars are choosing the Spanish race to get their season started. Evenepoel will be there alongside Jakobsen. Pogačar might well be back for the first time since he won the race 2 years ago. We have that on GCN Plus in all territories, which is also the case for the women's race, the Vuelta a Algarve, Tour of Murcia, Clásica Almere, Vuelta Andalucía and Tour de Alpes Maritimes et de Var, and the Vuelta a Galicia, all of which are taking place in February, with UAE Tour, Tour de la Provence and Omloop Het Nieuwsblad too. It's going to be a busy old month. At the other end of the season, we have the World Championships. Australia has missed out on international cycling over the last 2 years as the COVID pandemic led to the cancellation of both the Tour Down Under and Cadel Evans road race for 2 years running. 2022 will see that change with UCI World Championships held in the coastal city of Wollongong, New South Wales. The rumour is that both the Tour Down Under and Cadel Evans races will be rescheduled to lead into the Worlds. And although that is yet to be confirmed, race organisers haven't denied such a move. If that is the case, we are in for a big month of Australian racing this September. From what we know of that Worlds course so far, it looks to have the potential to suit Alaphilippe once more. The road race will conclude with laps around Mount Kira, an 8.7-kilometre climb which reaches peak elevation of 473 metres and sees gradients max out at 15%. Could Sagan's record-breaking 3 consecutive World Championship victories be matched in 2022 by Alaphilippe? I say there's a good chance. Australia, though, has never had a women's road world champion, and they will pin their hopes towards the likes of Chloe Hoskin and Amanda Spratt. Home turf advantage counts for something, particularly if that race build-up goes as rumoured. What riders are we eager to watch in 2022? Vincenzo Nibali, the Shark of Messina, is one. Back to Astana, the team which arguably saw him take his biggest wins, including the Tour and 2 Giri. We've seen some brilliant displays of attacking riding from Nibali in recent years, but another Grand Tour victory will see the Fossey and us go wild. Another rider going back home, so to speak, is Sam Bennett. The Irish sprinter had a cracking start with Quick-Step, notching up continuous World Tour wins and taking the green jersey at the Tour. However, the relationship with the team soured through 2021 as Patrick Lefevere publicly trashed Bennett after the 31-year-old struggled to recover from a knee injury. Bennett stayed quiet throughout those comments and will be looking to answer those criticisms with his legs back at Bora Hansgrohe. Last up, a rider I'd like to see smash it in 2022 is Eritrean Mahawi Kudos. 9 years pro now, Kudos has taken wins at the Tour de Rwanda and finished second overall at the Tour de Langkawi and third at the Tour of Turkey, plus a second place on the 5th stage of the 2017 Vuelta. I raced against him back when we were both amateurs and have honestly never witnessed someone accelerate past me on a climb as fast as he did. I've been passed many times by most people actually, but never as quick as that. It'd be great to see him take a big win this year for his new team, EF Education Easy Post. We normally root for an underdog in this section, and usually an Olympic champion wouldn't count as such. But in the women's peloton, we have to make an exception for Anna Kaisenhofer. The Austrian surprised most last summer when she emerged as winner on the road in Tokyo, and will continue to ride this year as an independent amateur, supported by Swiss Kronert Group. While she will no longer be as much of an unknown quantity, it would still be awesome to see Kaisenhofer get the better of professional cycling's more established names this season. Tennille Campbell is another rider we are hoping can notch up some big results throughout the year. Trinidad and Tobago's sole rider at the Olympic Games road race, Campbell scored a stage win at the Cycliste Féminine Ardèche and a podium finish at the Pan American Championships, plus a number of other top 10 finishes in Europe in what was her debut professional season. Riding for Bike Exchange Jayco, the 24-year-old will look to build on what was a successful start to her pro career. Last up, we'll all be hoping that Amy Pieters recovers from her injuries after the crash she sustained recently and gets back to winning ways. The Dutch woman took 3 wins in 2021 and the points jersey at the Healthy Aging Tour. The 30-year-old remains in an induced coma following that crash near Alicante, Spain, and has recently been transferred to a hospital in the Netherlands to receive specialist care. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say we hope Amy makes a full recovery and we see her racing once more this year. So there you have it. The 2022 season is literally just around the corner. I hope you're as excited as we all are here for another cracking season of racing. Personally, I can't wait for Paris-Roubaix to roll around again. What a spectator's dream that race was last year. Let us know what you are most looking forward to seeing down in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, enjoy the racing, see you on the next video.